Welcome to Bloodbath and Beyond. Today we review the indie horror, The Scarehouse. Really mean girls go all the way.
Written and directed by Gavin Michael Booth, starring Sarah Booth and Kimberly-Sue Murray, The Scarehouse is about two sorority girls who get revenge after a prank goes horribly wrong. What do we like about this film, guys?
I'm gonna say the set, because the set design was awesome. It looked really cool, it had a creepy feel.
They had rooms with, say, mirrors on the walls, garbage bags on some walls. You had just like completely different sets within the main set, and it was pretty extensive.
Like, it felt like a haunted house. It didn't feel like a bunch of set pieces. It felt connected. It was well thought out, and it played perfectly into the characters.
The Scarehouse is an actual haunted house in Windsor. I believe some of it did take place in the actual Scarehouse.
I think we should touch on the gore, which was really well done in this movie, I thought.
Because we're not going to talk about our favorite deaths, I think in general the deaths were really unique. I haven't seen any of these deaths before. They have a really interesting take on the pillow fight.
Because it's a torture film, it's more like a slowly dragged out scene, and we're seeing the little cuts, the nicks, we're seeing the blood from like different parts and different pieces of their body, and it's really cool.
I really like the cinematography and just like the look and production value of this movie. This was shot on a $200,000 budget. It looks like it would have taken a lot more to have everything as cohesive as this. Through like all the camera work, the lighting, to light something so dark but keep it still interesting, I think was a very, very impressive feat to overcome.
This movie overall, it had this believability to it. With the camera work, with the lighting, with the acting, it all felt like believable. I wasn't sucked out of it by the acting or any of that. I think that works really well to help the movie really have a good impact.
Not only did I like the beautiful cast, beautiful, but I really like that the whole cast was women, because you don't often see like a full woman cast in any horror movie ever. This was two girls that were not the strongest girls. They show their weaknesses, which is nice.
Instead of like a dumb slut girl that's in the movie, you have these douchebag guys that are just trying to get laid.
I would fall victim to everything. I'll do whatever you say, girls.
This movie was really quick to get into things, right? Like, there wasn't a long setup, and I think what helped was the use of the flashbacks with the camera. It's intersected throughout the movie, and you get the backstory while the movie's still moving forward at a good pace. So what don't we like about this movie, guys? I didn't really get the girls' names. I didn't know who was who. The use of the flashbacks that we had seen, they were all kind of grouped together. They were all referencing one person amongst the group, so it was hard to differentiate who was who.
What the fuck are you looking at, Emily?
Even the main characters, it took me a while to realize that Corey and Alana were actually sorority girls in that flashback, because you don't really notice them at first until they focus right on them.
It's tough when you got a bunch of babes in one room.
They mention their names when they first show up to the house, but it's really hard to understand.
I regret saying this, but I wish I'm like, let's have a See No Evil entrance where it's like all the girls like
Flash their name.
flash their name underneath.
The Christian one.
When we're seeing them partying and calling each other's bitches and sluts, and like they're all like touching themselves, and well, how do I know which one is the fake one when three of them are going like this? Like, distinguish each characteristic other than like the Christian girl. I'm like, yeah, that's the religious one. I get it.
While she was grinding on some guy in the club.
There was something I didn't like about Alana's character, played by Kimberly-Sue Murray. She's one of the girls torturing people. She's like very against it on the first kill, and immediately she switches to being the more dominant figure. In one scene, she's puking. The next scene, she's stabbing someone. They also tried to kind of give her feelings again more towards the end of the film. She's in a very vulnerable situation. Something happens that should not have happened because she just blanked out for a second. And she does that 2 or 3 times when she's like dealing with some of the girls that are coming into the Scarehouse. I think her character was just poorly built. Her acting was fine enough, but it was the character that I didn't like.
To me, the music just felt off in this film. Like, being like intersplicing between flashback and what was going on in the present, it was just like something so happy-go-lucky and then instantly to nothing.
It's time for our final thoughts and ratings. This movie I thought was decent overall. I think they nailed the aspects that they needed to. It was believable, the acting was decent, the gore was good, the kills were original. I do think that there are some plot holes, some story developments that was lacking, so I kind of wish that we had more of that. Sympathy for the characters weren't really there on my end, and I think I found it hard to root for anyone in the movie, so I'm going to deduct some points for that. My final rating is going to be 3 cunt downs out of 5.
It's the final countdown!
I actually found the Scarehouse to have amazing cinematography, and I really liked the set design of this film. And I found that the gore and the kills were unique and different, and it was really enjoyable. My big problem falls with the story and the character developments. We did get some really cool torture scenes, but the revenge plot was good with the ending, but the whole build-up I found was kind of confusing for who to root for and what exactly was going on. I find there's lots of potential in this film, but it just didn't hit it home for me. So that being said, I'm gonna give this film 2 missing red buttons out of 5.
Red button.
I thought the Scarehouse had tons of potential because it did have great production value, it looked gorgeous, and it had very, very interesting and unique kills, which I haven't seen in other films. Like the other guys, the biggest fault of this film was the character development. Having so many different characters so quickly, we don't care about them. And when you start killing off people we don't care about, we no longer care about the rest of the film. Well, the rest of the film was believable. I think the reason why these girls wanted to get revenge just didn't add up. It just didn't make sense to me. So they could have tightened some plot points. They could have done a lot of things to just improve the story overall. For those reasons, I'm gonna give this 3 glass dildos out of 5. That's crushed glass on dildos out of 5. Crushed light bulbs to be more specific. As always, thanks for watching. Like this video and comment below with your thoughts on the film if you've seen it. If you haven't, support indie horror and check it out. Don't forget to subscribe to Bloodbath and Beyond to stay updated with everything we're doing here on Bloodbath and Beyond.